morning, everybody. Wiggles and I are on the road. We are on our way to Waterton, Wisconsin. So before we bought the Wanderlodge in Georgia, there was one on Facebook Marketplace that I actually talked to the guy about quite a bit. Had a funny story. He had bought it took it in trade for some works, what he said, in Florida, and then decided to move back to Wisconsin. Drove it back to Wisconsin, but he never got the title for it. So he wanted, I think originally $8,000 for it, said he'd take $5,000. It needed a fair amount of work. And I was back and forth, and I did some checking. It was going to be such a nightmare to get the title straightened out in Michigan. I don't know what it's like in all the states you're in, but in Michigan you have to get a bond for the value of the vehicle, and they tend to set that at whatever the original sale price was. So just the bond would have been just crazy expensive for it. And I just didn't feel comfortable getting into that. I think I ended up offering him like $4,000 for it or something, so I figured I'd take a gamble on it at that. And he didn't want to take that. Said he was going to remodel it and turn it into a modern camper. Anyway, so that was that. So we ended up meeting Frank, buying his, which I'm happy with that. That was a way better way to go. Well, anyways, about a month or so ago, the one in Wisconsin pops back up on Facebook for $2,500 with the interior gutted right out of it. I mean, just literally in the pictures, the entire interior is thrown in a heap in the yard next to it. And something in the ads about, I was going to fix this up, but I've gone a different direction, something of that nature. So anyways, it kind of caught my attention. I thought, man, it's getting cheap enough. It's almost worth buying just for parts, but it was all ripped apart, and I had lots to do, so I didn't think more about it. Well, now, yesterday morning, the same bus popped up again for $1,500, and I thought, now I'm going to get in touch with them. So I got in touch with them, and it turned out they just sold the bus. But I got thinking about it, and I thought, they literally had the entire interior laying in a heap next to it, and I'll bet whoever bought that, unless they were an actual Wanderlodge enthusiast, didn't want that. So I got back in touch with them and said, hey, do you still have that stuff, and are you interested in getting rid of it? Long and short of it is, I'm supposed to be going and buying whatever I want of the interior for $600. So, keeping my fingers crossed. It did have the driver's side bench or sofa / bed arrangement. That's supposed to be usable yet with the cushions, and then latches, lights. So anyways, we're gonna go over there. We're pulling my utility trailer behind the Volkswagen and see if there's enough stuff there that we're interested. I'm pretty sure we're gonna give them the $600. Basically, the deal was I can have everything that's there for $600, take as much of it as I want. So that's what we're up to. We'll see how this whole thing works out, and I'll keep you posted. All right, everybody. So, as you probably can guess from looking at this pile, this is not what I thought I was going to come back with from Wisconsin the other day. Y'all heard that old saying that you can tell somebody's lying because you can see their mouth moving? Well, that's pretty much a description of the guy I got this stuff from. You see this right here? This is it's hard to see here, but that's the cushion and slide assembly out of that side sofa bed unit that I was trying to go over there that I wanted so bad. Specifically asked him about this thing, said, did that thing survive? Did you sledgehammer it out? And he says, no. He literally said, I'm not an idiot. I was careful. I took it out. I've had it covered. And he's telling me about, I've had this in the barn and that in the shed. I got over there. Nothing had ever been stored inside. That was a total lie from the ground up. Matter of fact, you can see where he'd been dragged. He's like, I set all this stuff out in the driveway out of the shed so you could look at it. No, stuff was soaking wet. All had mud on it like this from where it'd been laying in the yard. Just trashed. Everything totally trashed. So anyways, I was in a bit of shock, but I decided I'd made a long trek, and this guy, I didn't even waste my time trying to argue with him. I gave him some money, more than I should have, loaded up what I thought I could use. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why on earth did I load up some of this crap like that? So here's what I've discovered. Maybe you all already knew this, but this stuff, I'm finding out, is some kind of like quilted naga hide that is glued to this hardboard. Now the hardboard is shot from laying outside, but the naga hide, other than you'll like here, okay, beat it up, chonked holes in it, I'm finding out when you get it wet, you can peel this stuff right back off. The glue doesn't hold that well when it's wet. So what I'm trying to do here is I've laid one chunk out over there over the top of the cover that I already ripped off. I'm going to soak this stuff down, peel it off from its backing, power wash it, and the idea is to get myself pieces of this that I can use for patching work in here, because I haven't been able to find anywhere you can buy that stuff. But then also, I'm thinking about putting that stuff some places like this. I for sure want some... I got such a mess, I can hardly get into here. Like up here, I don't understand why they put carpet along right there. I don't like that, it's nasty. I took it off, and I'm aiming to get myself bits of this stuff that I brought back, cut out nice pieces, and put some of that and just blend it in with the rest of the wall cover. So anyway... that I'm glad to have got, but then I'll show you what else we got. I'll take you in the shop and show you. You have to excuse the mess. I've hardly been around here, but yeah, look, this is more of the stuff. You can see it was laying in the mud in his yard, but I pulled out not a lot of this whole underpiece just because they're made all out of metal. I couldn't really imagine why I needed it. I originally was just pulling light fixtures out, and then I got sick of pulling them, and so I have got, I mean, it looks like a mess here, but I pulled every light fixture out of that bus. Here's one of the slides for that bed unit. I found that laying in a scrap metal pile. Anyways, I've got all these little pen lights. I also took out every single latch in that bus. Now, these are all in great shape. Unfortunately, that one was like an 83 or a 4, and I'm finding out, I mean, I knew it as soon as I saw them, but the latches in my bus, or ours, are in the 79 are like half as wide as these. So I'm showing you all this to say I collected a lot of parts, but I'm not even sure how much of it I can use. I just figured somebody else out there, like I know these light fixtures are notorious for the lenses getting cracked, the latches get wore out. If somebody out there needs some of this stuff, I'm willing to sell it, or better yet, if you've got ones that fit mine, we'll do some horse trading. I got one Zip D awning. It's one of the side or rear ones, like a 6-footer. It has this broke, but otherwise it appears to be in pretty decent shape. And these are dirty, but they'll clean up. Whole bunch of the side doors for the upper compartment. So, oh yeah, this was part of the backup camera mechanism, which it did have the altimeter in it, and that's working. So by golly, I'm going to put an altimeter in my bus just for the heck of it. But so anyways... got all kinds of parts and pieces, but ultimately was pretty disgusted with just humanity in general, right? Like, this guy, I don't even know what the deal was. Like, we're standing next to the sink countertop assembly, standing next to it, and he's telling me, like, yeah, this thing's in amazing shape, you can take that too. And I mean, it was so beat up and chipped up, nobody would use it. We're standing next to it. It's not even like on the phone telling me, standing there, and he's telling me how amazing shape it is. It's like, does he think I'm blind? Like, what's the deal? But any rate, so under here, there is a fair amount of other parts and pieces that I, salvaged out of there. But so I'll show you now what we're up to. I'm back here today. So here's what we're up to. I got it sitting on the tailgate. This is a brandy spanking new Raritan 1700 that's got to find its way in here. And I don't know how many of you have pulled these water heaters out, but it's a bear of a project. I've been wrenching on this thing for probably close to an hour now, getting fittings off, getting the wiring unhooked from it, and then the thing I'm up to now, I'm just not even sure where to tackle it, is these stinking water lines for the antifreeze that it circulates through it. It's got some valves in this line, but they're the flow control valves, not the shut it off kind of valves. That's some of these down here. Yeah, these boogers. So anyways, I am scratching my head trying to decide how we're going to tackle this. I'm afraid we're going to shut them lines off. I'm going to try and come up with something to maybe let me plug the two ends in together, and then we're just going to go for it. And if we lose some antifreeze, I'm just going to have to top it back off, because I don't see any good way to actually shut the coolant off to this. I'm sure these kind of valves, my experience with them, are never actually watertight. There's one of them right down there you can see with the... Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's one of them valves. Those kind basically reduce the flow. They don't shut the flow off. So anyhow, goal for today is get that thing out of here and get the new one installed. Okay, well, let me show you guys what we got here. We've been doing this water heater yank 'em out program. So it's quite a pain in the butt. Getting these two coolant lines, obviously I got one dripping there. That one didn't really seal up. I jammed a pipe in it. But anyways, if any of you decide you want to pull one of these water heaters, I'm going to mention this line here was down in enough. I did not notice that one. And so I had this, and this other one off down here. And then I'm wrestling with it, trying to figure out why it don't want to come out. And of course, why it didn't want to come out was that one. So there are 4 water lines attached to this. This is the overflow pipe from the relief valve. So I just threaded it out, dropped it down in the hole, let it ride along. But then this one's the tank drain. This is supplied. This one is hot water out. And then this one, I got to crawl underneath because I really don't understand what that's doing. And I'm a little baffled by the fact that it's disappearing down into an unheated compartment. So I'm going to go outside and we're going to take a look and see if I can figure out what that does. Alright, so it's connected to another drain valve is what it's doing. Interesting. So it's draining. I gotta go back and look at this. Okay, so it's draining down the cold water inline even more. I guess I'm a little baffled by what the purpose of that is, in all honesty, because this is a drain line. Oh, I see. That lets you have the line to the hot water shut off and drain it above that. Anyway, so assuming Frank added at least a few of these, because I don't think the factory had this many drains, so the more the merrier. Anyways, so we're going to get to it, and we're going to try getting this little beastie plumbed up. Now, it looks pretty much the same, except that these are further apart. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If anything, that might make life a little easier, I think. The only thing about it that I see possibly being trouble is that they're indexed a little further around the side of it, and I don't know if my hoses are going to reach. I may have to get some hunks of hose and actually extend the hoses, but we're going to try slipping her in there, see what it looks like. But first, I'm going to start off by pulling plumbing off and attaching it to this and just trying to get everything swapped over that needs to be on the new one. Okay, so I did a little measuring here, finding some interesting stuff. So the new one is 1/2 inch larger in diameter, but 1 inch shorter than what the old one is. So just take that into consideration if you're ever swapping one of these. Height's not a problem. I think we're going to have a little trouble. This flange is plastic. I think I'm going to have to cut it off down one side, because this on the back side was up tight against a, I don't know what you call it, a small lip over on that side. So I see that being a bit of a problem. And then it was pretty snug. I'm trying to remember where that fell at. Somewhere in here, the power line was shoved up tight against the side of this. And that, it's going to be a crunch. We're just going to have to see. But I see that possibly needing some revamping. But basically, looks like it ought to fit in the hole. So I'm going to carry on and see what we can do to get her in there. Got to switch the fittings over, and then we're going to go try dropping it in the hole. Okay, so let's see here. Where are we? I'll give you the rundown. So, first off, the overview I'm going to give you at this point is do not buy one of these Raritan water heaters and blissfully think it's a drop-in replacement. They are not. They have changed so many little things on this that it is a hellish fight to swap one of these. So let me see if I can give you the rundown. So I mentioned that this thing is half an inch bigger in diameter. That right off the bat is a terrible, terrible problem. I was all excited because I was worried it'd be too tall and that, you know, have interference there. Well, they've made it shorter. Taller wouldn't have been as big of a deal as the diameter is, because if it was a little taller, you could just add some furring strips around here and raise the bed height a little bit. But by this thing being larger in diameter, I'll see if I can get some light on the situation. See that down there where I have carved away the base ring on this thing, and then over here, I am wedged in here so stupid tight. I mean, it's ridiculous. So the points that you end up wedged in between is, let me see if I can get in here. See that? This is the power cord coming in. Now, I could, I think, take this plug loose and space it out, but you can't get away with very much at all of that, because this one is coming in from the side. You'll start interfering with plugging that one in. So I really didn't want to mess with that. So what I did is this plastic sheathing, I cut an oval out of that sheathing where it touched it, left the insulating foam intact. It's like this foam rubber stuff. You can see it in here through the opening. And anyways, I'm crushing into that foam rubber on there. But then another hard stop point that you run into is this relief valve drain pipe. Unless you want to carve the hole out for it, you're crashing into that point too. So having carved over there, cut the base retaining ring. I mean, that's plastic, by the way. I'll show you. Like, here's a chunk of it that I whittled off from there with my pocket knife. So if you're going to do one of these, I would suggest doing some eyeballing and cutting that and that. I didn't know what I was going to have to cut. It was a pain in the butt to get it in here and then carve on it. Knowing what I do now, if I had it to put in again, I would lay that out and cut both of those, that side and that side off that base ring before I even tried putting it in. But even having done that, I was in here with a flat bar and prying this thing over sideways before I got it to drop down into that pocket. So, and then, if that wasn't good enough, they have screwed with the relative location of the inlet and the outlet fittings. I think from the way it acted that the top one's about in the same spot. That line hooked up pretty nice. But they've moved the bottom one up, and that is another thing that is just a total pain in the butt. Ends up fighting you with this line like crazy. So something I'm going to point out is right off the bat, if you're going to swap one of these, take this thing. It bolts in. It's the compartment heater. It's just held in with a couple of screws. Take it out. I took the, it's got these clamps on the wire, took those loose, laid it up there on the dresser. The other thing that you might as well do pretty quick in the process is this pressure regulating valve has a couple of studs that come through into the electrical compartment with nuts on them. They're welded to this bracket, so you can just take the nuts off inside. That gives this thing some flexibility, because to be perfectly honest with you, you will not get this back in here with this line connected on it without some play in that. So this line I took out and put on my anvil, out on the horn of the anvil, and did some tapping and beating on it. And what I had to do is curve it up more there and then back down here, because I basically needed to raise the height of it. It worked out that it was a little bit long anyways because of all of this shifting around that had happened. So I think it's going to work. The real proof of the pudding here is going to be, obviously, does it leak when I hook this all back up? Because, I mean, I have whooped and beat and reefed on stuff. I've about concluded that if any of this stuff gives me very much trouble at all, I'm going to start yanking it out a piece at a time and running PEX in here, because I've got PEX tools. This copper is a total pain in the butt. But we're going to see if it tightens up, isn't leaking, I'm going to leave it alone. But life would be a lot easier if I just had this stuff in PEX. But anyways, so I haven't even started trying to hook up the water lines down here yet. Let me see here, coolant lines. So this one is the one that's supposed to connect around, just got a hunk of pipe stuffed in it right now, to this bottom port. It isn't even close to being long enough, and as a matter of fact, now that I'm this close to this electrical fitting, I can't even build the combination of fittings I had in it before. So I think what I'm going to end up doing... Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little head scratching. I think what I'm going to end up doing is putting an elbow in here and then a barbed fitting right there. And then probably getting another hunk of this hose and extending it and bringing it on around. The top one, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. That's this one. And it's not even close to where it needs to be either. I would say good chance that I end up just taking and putting a 90-degree elbow and angling it that direction. It's so far away from it that I think I can probably get away with just a 90-degree elbow, aim it at that with a barbed fitting on it and a short chunk of hose to extend that one up again. And I'll just have to put some unions in here to connect hoses together. But anyways, either that or I might go down below and see, what about this one? Where does this go? I'm just debating with myself whether I try and, you know what, that ain't that bad to get at. I think what I'll probably do is just try and get some more of that hose actually and put all new pieces in, like replace it all the way back to the next fitting. I think that's going to be the smartest move. But anyhow, as you can see, this is no freebie drop-in project. I guess that's what I was really wanting to show you all is, I don't know what my alternative would be, because if you want that engine loop heating option in here, I don't know of too many other ones that give you that function. So you're kind of stuck fighting one of these. I'm just telling you, don't get your hopes up that it's going to drop in there just because it's a rare tan 12 gallon, because they have tweaked them and changed stuff. But at this point, I would say I'm to the stage where I can confidently say it is possible to put it in there. It is not any fun at all. So anyhow, I guess that's going to be about it for this particular video. I'm going to get out of here. I'm starving. I'm sure my wife would like me to come home, and we'll be back on this project probably tomorrow after I get done working for the day. So catch you guys next time.